listening to the #1 real estate podcast where we talk with agents and teams all across the world about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street, and I am joined with my co-host and co-founder of the Real Estate Growth Academy, Vikram. I have a very, very special guest today, somebody that I've known for quite a long time, somebody that I've watched his business massively grow over the last 5 to 6 years. And I'm so excited that we get the opportunity to interview in a totally different environment now and kind of see where you're at. Andrew Perrie, how you doing, my man? How are things going in your neck of the woods?
Good, man. Loving it. It's great to see you again, by the way.
It's good to see you.
Even if it's virtual. I mean, hey,
I know.
I'd love to be traveling the world with you too and do a podcast somewhere on a bike on top of a mountain. But anyways, no, man, we're all doing good. And, the market here is just a little bit nutso right now, but it's good. We needed some type of correction. We just couldn't keep going up and up and up the way we were, right?
Yeah. Why don't you give us like a high level overview on who you are, where you are in the world, how long you've been in real estate? Maybe it will even walk us back to how you got into real estate, because I think that's a really interesting story as well. Your leadership background. Why don't you give us a high level overview on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the business now 5 years, and this journey through, self-discovery, entrepreneurship, sales, of course, it's been really eye-opening. If it wasn't for the past 2 years, as much as I know that it was really hard on a lot of people, for me, it was life transforming. And when you and I last spoke, publicly anyways, my team was just starting to get off the ground. And what I've learned through the last 2 years, it was like a 24-month worth book getting thrown at my face, and how accelerated my path to learning through failures and growing pains, which we can talk about too. It was so helpful. And it finally helped me find my purpose and what I want. So I think when last time we spoke, I just wanted to be a top agent. And now my goals are completely different. So where I started with, my leadership roles in sales, I was actually in the fitness industry, which I think is where you're kind of going with that question. I took a lot of that structure that I learned from a company, LA Fitness, which if you have a lot of American listeners will know it very well. And some of your Canadian listeners will also know it. But there's things like the structure. You've got a GM of sales, you got a GM of operations. They work in tandem together, but their goals are the same. But their job description is completely different. What I learned was, why would I want a salesperson dealing with all the contracts, dealing with all the marketing, dealing with all client events? Can they have input? Sure. That's what it is. That's the whole point of the team, but that should never be a salesperson's job, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
So we learned so much over the last 2 years, but I was able to take that leadership role of being a general manager, a DM, district manager, top salesperson, all involved in the fitness industry, to completely just leaving that corporate job with bonuses, hefty salary is on top of my sales commission, and to just going into business for myself. And fast forward 5 years later, I'm incredibly happy that I took that risk. And everybody else thought I was crazy. My wife, my parents literally pulled me aside and was like, "Hey,
are you sure
you want to do this? It's the first time in your life that you're making really good money and you've met a girl and you're having a kid." And
do you really want to throw all this away? Like that's the question. Do you really want to throw it all away? You're like, "Mom, I'm not throwing it away."
No, in fact, I was taking it all with me, so to speak.
Yes.
So man.
And thank you for sharing that. Like, obviously your story's pretty, I would say it's typical of a lot of agents, except for the success part, right? They leave their corporate job and they come out and they have all the experience, right? They were top in their field. They were super successful. They saw the structure, right? They understood the structure inside of the corporate world. And then they come into real estate and it's like the Men in Black, the little Will Smith tack, and they forget it all. And they get into real estate and they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, what did you do at your other job? Right? Like, how did you succeed there? So I got a question. You said the last 2 years. I want to jump into the last 2 years of team building, because I have a lot of clients and I'm just going to be totally selfish. Sorry, Cody. Not sorry. I'm going to be totally selfish because I have a lot of clients that don't have the experience you do, or the experience like 15 years ago. So they've been selling real estate for a decade. A couple of years ago, they thought, hey, let's do this whole team thing, right? Let's do this team thing. You started in 5 years ago. It sounds like you had some early wins and then you decided to build a team, but you said you got smacked in the face. What is one of the things that step out? I'm not going to ask you what's the most important thing because everything's important, but what's one of the top 3 things that stand out to you when you say, I learned so much in the last 2 years about growing a team?
Well, at the very beginning,
Yep.
number 1 was, when is a good time to hire and who should I hire? Number 2 is, what are the duties that I'm going to actually have this person do? And then number 3 is basically, when do we start expanding the sales side? Because at the beginning of COVID, you weren't sure where everything was going. So we just started we were working with Cody on our lead generation systems, and we had literally thousands of leads in like 30 or 60 days. And I was like, what do I even do with them? What do I do with them? Like, yes, of course, we had the at the beginning when Cody first started, we just had like the chatbots, I believe, or something. We had those automated messages going out, and they were working incredibly well. So I was like, what the hell do we do? I was like, right? So I decided to take on somebody as a double role. And again, if I had have done it over again, knowing what I know now, I probably would have hired the same person because Rebecca was awesome, but I would have probably hired a second person. I'll tell you why. Because in the beginning, I was being selfish. And also, there's a lot of real estate coaches, by the way, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying, based on my experience, I felt that it was wrong. So a lot of people say you should do 50 deals before you hire another admin or another salesperson.
Oh, I've never heard that.
I was not at 50 deals. I was like at 14. But by the time you feel like you should have hired somebody, you probably should have already done that, right?
Yeah, totally. Anyway, 6 months earlier, 3 months earlier.
Yeah. So I was being a little selfish, and I said, okay, I'm going to hire somebody that can be my admin and my buyer's agent. So I hired a licensed admin. Now, everybody told me not to do that, and I had honestly a lot of success at first. Having that type of influx of business, because number one reason, not because Cody is amazing and we had a really good conversation and we got together, but I hired Cody because I thought my business is like 80-90% agent referrals.
Yeah, totally.
That's massive for me. And I
want to dive into that. I want to dive into that as well. We're going to get it. Yeah.
And I was doing decent with that, but I'm like, oh shit, COVID's coming. I don't know. I have to double down. So that's when we first did our podcast together, Cody. And I was like, no, I'm doubling down. I'm throwing thousands of dollars at you, and you're going to help me get all these leads. And you know what? It worked. It worked really well. And so now I had to figure out, okay, so how do I maximize on these opportunities? So I immediately hired 2 or 3 more people right off the bat. Now,
what were those people's roles?
All 3 were salespeople.
So you had a buyer's agent / admin. And then you hired 3 more salespeople. Right.
And that buyer admin,
she's still with you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She actually just came back from maternity leave. So, so we're happy to have her back, but we did transition her role back to a full-time admin because, that was her job before. She was the front desk at another brokerage for a while and calling the salespeople. It was not really what she was passionate about. So we took her and put her in another role that she was passionate about. And now I had an admin and 3 agents. And so here's number 2, where I'm just kind of like, what the hell do I do with this team now? So do I have to have team meetings? Do I have to have accountability sessions? Do I have to have training? Because at the beginning, I wasn't prepared to be that leader that they needed. So I just said, look, I just need people to help me out with these leads, and that's it.
Right.
And then as, a few months went by, I quickly realized, okay, this also isn't working. And I need to learn how to handle these types of growing pains as a true leader to help our team feel rewarded and appreciated, and not just, somebody that I could just throw leads at so that we could all make money.
So what does the team look like now? Who do you have on your team, and what were some of those key hires that you essentially have experienced over the last 2 years that have gotten you where you are today?
So that's a really, really good question. So what I learned in that first quarter to 2 quarters, even maybe 3 quarters, was that in order to effectively have a team, there has to be a structure, there has to be systems, and there's no way that I can do it without getting another admin. So fast forward to today, I replicated that same thought process 2 or 3 times now. So I have a director of operations. I have a marketing and client care admin, and now I also have a transaction and listing coordinator. So remember, that's
three people in the back office.
Exactly. And these are each individuals who are focusing on one principle, one marketing, one client care, and then one who's overseeing it all. Right. So that was very, very important because, their jobs were overlapping and one person would fill out an offer for me. And then I'd be like, wait, so who did this one? Why is this like this? Somebody uploaded a listing. I said, well, why is that like that? Oh, I don't know. I didn't do it. What do you mean you didn't do it? That's your job. Yeah.
Who's doing all these things in my office? It's chaos.
Exactly. So once we brought Rebecca back, we really focused on that one thing, that one job duty, that one mission statement for each individual. And then that's how we proceeded. And now we have 10 agents on the team as well.
Nice.
Okay. And from there, I was also able to open my first office here in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And I now opened my second office in Muskoka. So I opened 2 offices in a year and a half. And we grew from 1 salesperson and an admin to 3 admins and 10 salespeople.
So your growth is like pretty awesome. Your level of learning is pretty awesome, right? Like there's a lot of learning in a short period of time. I'm a firm believer that you don't hire sales before you hire support. That's just my belief in life, is that you don't hire sales until you hire support, right? That's how I've always run my businesses, because if you don't have support, shit breaks all over the place.
Exactly.
And so as you hired, like when you said I hired a buyer's agent / admin, a lot of people do that, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, well, we just need a little bit of help with leads, but we also need a little bit of help with like contracts, or like, if somebody could open the listing for me. Oh, she's licensed, so she could do this and she could do that.
Yeah.
And we do that. And I think you nailed it. You said there was a little bit of ego involved.
Well, you know what? It was also too, is that it's not necessarily that I didn't believe in myself, because I do have a fairly strong confidence. If anybody you meet knows me. But I was also kind of maybe being a little bit greedy where, okay, if she's licensed, I can just pay her per deal. As opposed like a percentage per deal, which was definitely the wrong way of thinking. Definitely should get these types of people into a salary-based position. That way your expenses stay the same. You understand what's happening. You know what goes out every month, et cetera, et cetera. And then that way they feel more comfortable that, hey, because again, in real estate, are people answering their phones after dinner? Yeah, I try not to allow that to happen, but now we have our own team phone that everybody rotates taking it home. And if it's 1 call or it's 100 calls, it's an extra $50 an hour, right? So we're trying to find ways and to help everybody. And I think those salary positions are the way to do it, and not those pay per deal kind of thing.
Let me ask you a question about that, because again, there's a lot of people in your exact shoes right now that are going to be listening to this story, and they're going to be like, oh my God, they're going to be like, that sounds amazing. I can make it work, right? I'm going to be the person that makes that work. And it's like, no, you're not, because Andrew gave you the solution. You need to have a person that's in a salary. And a real estate agent is going to say, I don't need the solution. I'm going to find the problem and I'm going to break the effing mold. And Cody's laughing, y'all, because we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah.
Why is it so crucial, right? Like, why is it so crucial, Andrew, that you have separation of roles? Even at the beginning, when you're like, oh my God, I've only done 10 deals. I've made $90,000, but I know I need help, right? I know the capacity that I have is not being fully tapped because I'm doing all this other crap, right? And now all of a sudden I got this influx, right? Because you started paying for leads. A lot of people won't do that. They're going to think that they could just figure it out on their own and that the referrals are going to do it. But why is it so important that you have a dedicated administrator and then a dedicated salesperson? And why would you do admin before sales?
To answer your first question.
Yeah, that was like 19 questions. I had to get them all in before Cody asked.
So this is how I feel about it. I'm not saying I have an exit strategy from the business. What I am saying is that I don't want to be in sales my entire life. Having these types of separations, everybody knows exactly what they do, when to do it, who to report to. Where if I'm going on trips, I do a lot of speaking. I was just in Dallas. I was just in Costa Rica checking in on a build that we're doing. I'm doing all these different things. I'm going on podcasts all over the world. And eventually, we're doing a pilot for Chorus. Will it get picked up? I don't know. But if it does, I'm assuming they're going to want me to do some type of more speaking tours. And if I've got to exit out of the business in that sense, where I'm the brand, I'm the ambassador, I'm the face of it all, I need to know that if I'm gone, the ship runs smoothly without me there. Right. And that's a true testament of a real exit strategy that might happen in 10, 20 years. So to answer your question, it's how we keep things running smoothly and everybody has a clear understanding of their mission and of their goals.
I love that. And, I want to switch gears because you mentioned earlier around agent to agent referrals. And it's something that like when you and I started working together and, became friends early on, like you're like, I really build my business on agent to agent referrals. And I think I've started to understand it on such a deeper level, probably within the last year, the agent to agent referral world, through connecting with so many real estate agents across the world. And what it really clicked with me, I was actually having dinner, me and Vikram were having dinner with Glenda Baker, and we were chatting about some of the Glenda. Yeah.
So we just followed me on Instagram. Glenda, I love you. You're my spirit animal. I can't believe this.
So we're in a mastermind together. We were having dinner with Glenda and she brought up your name and I was like, yeah, I know Andrew. And like, we were talking about like the different agents that she knows and the different agents that, and I know that like, and I see you active in Real Estate Hacks. I see you active on social. Like, how does one build an agent to agent referral business? What did you do early on? Because I'm sold on agent to agent referrals. I'm just curious to know how, like, did you have a strategy going into this, or like what exactly helped you build your agent to agent referral? Because for you to say, hey, like 80, 90% of my business is agent to agent referral is pretty incredible. So like, what did you do in order to make that a reality?
We have slightly talked about this before. And since then, this is all like part of being growth and, growth mindset, those growing pains and being self-aware, because I used to think like, oh man, it's all the value I used to give people and, answering questions. And I said, you know what? It's not about necessarily providing value. It 100% is, but I think it was the fact that I could just sum it up in one word: accessibility. People, for some reason, look up to me and want my advice. People call me all the time about your companies till this day. Hey, I was just wondering what your experience was with Cody and his team. I've got a call coming up, and I'll just tell them the truth. And I had these calls like 3 to 5 times a day, or my inbox is filled with people asking, who's the best lead generation company? Who's the best to website design? Who can I hire for a coach, et cetera? Hey, what's the best wineries to go to, right? It's not always about real estate. Where do I find a vacation rental this time of year? So accessibility, I answer those text messages, phone calls, DMs in a matter of seconds. And I think they're like, wow, I can appreciate that this guy's got over 30,000 followers. Shameless plug. I need more, by the way. But he's putting out content 5 times a day. He's doing 100 deals a year. He's got 2 offices. He's got a full team. He's got 3 kids. He's got a wife. And he still answers the phone within minutes or seconds. So I think accessibility has been what I am now to know as being key. Now, again, have I noticed a lot of people answering really quickly on Facebook, but have no value? Yeah, of course. And those people, you can smell it from a mile away. They're just answering because, hey, they want to get that lead or referral. So yeah, I think being accessible to people in a timely manner is crucial, because if you don't respond to them, they're going to be like, okay, this guy's not Ryan Serhant. He can't be that busy. So it's interesting how those things kind of play out.
I really like that answer. And it resonates a lot with what like Gary Vee says, is that everybody's got their own opinion of him. So take it for what it's worth. But we saw him speak earlier this year and he's like, me too. I think he's great. He's like, I still answer my DMs. I still do this. I still do that. Like, you're not getting a team member of mine. You're getting me. He's like, that's why people resonate with me, because you're actually talking to me. Versus a lot of people, like, sometimes my VAs are in my inbox and they're responding to some of like the generic comments that people make. And when I respond versus when they respond, it's a completely different conversation, as you obviously would expect. And so here's what everybody's thinking right now. They're thinking, well, Andrew's successful, and so that's why he has the time to answer his DMs. He's not doing the work anymore, because now he's got people underneath him. So he's got his admin and they write his offers, and he's right. So now that's what people are thinking, right? So I want to flush him out. So
Yeah.
when you were growing your business, oh wait, you're still growing your businesses. I'm sorry. So
Never stop.
as you grow your businesses, and people are going to say, well, now it's easier because you have this and that, right? Everybody always tries to find the problem to the solution.
Yep.
How do you manage your days so that you're not being sucked into social media and you're using it for social business?
So, okay. So let's put it this way, and I'll just give you a breakdown of my schedule. Really, I don't work past 4:00.
Sweet.
Do I answer my phone? Of course. Am I going to let a client slide by the wayside? Absolutely not. Am I going to let a team member, am I going to not answer a team member's call? No. But when my office shuts down, I go home. 90% of the time, I'm not bothered. And I also don't work weekends.
Has that always been your schedule?
No.
I want to break it down. Like, what was your schedule like when you first started building your team versus now? What was your schedule like? What was your mornings like? And then what is it like now? Because obviously things have changed.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing for me, I was not booking my personal time first. And that was the biggest mistake. So now I book my personal time first. But how my day would look like would typically be 6 a.m., sometimes 5 if I was really motivated. Definitely not in the winter. It's too cold to get out of up at that time. But 6 o'clock, have my workout, have my vitamins, have a nice little breakfast. And then I would check all my emails, go through all the leads that had been sent the night before, go through, what the ISAs were saying, go through what my buyer's agents were saying, and really just try to manage all of that before we even got into work, because I wanted to know what my team was doing.
So you're working on the business before you got to work in the business.
Yeah, exactly. And that was just task number one, answering all the other emails. And, I'm a director with our brokerage as well. So we do recruiting together. And, I was just saying yes to everything. And I think everybody should. In your first 1 to 3 years, if you want to just come out of the gate strong, say yes to everything. Do you do commercial? Yep. Do you do farms? Yep. Do you work here? Yeah, absolutely. Are you available Sunday morning? Yes, absolutely. No problem. And do I do that now? No, absolutely not. But I've structured it in such a way that my clients don't necessarily know that, or they do appreciate it. So I try to have as less interruptions in the client experience as possible. So that means that we have specific people on the team that will handle specific things at specific times. And it's never, okay, so wow, it's Sunday. Who's going to cover this person who just called in and wants a home assessment? Or who's covering the open houses? It's always somebody's duty to cover those services.
You being a recruiter, you talking about making sure that your team gives you the leverage you're looking for now. I was having a conversation yesterday with a local team lead here in Chatham. I just ran into him and he was talking about how some of the agents on his team just don't want to actually do the things required in their first 3 years that it takes in order to be successful, because I think a lot of team leads tend to spoon feed their people. They tend to they don't develop them.
Yeah.
What are you doing to develop your people in a way that allows them, if they decide in the future to go and do something else, that they have the skills, the knowledge, and the fortitude in order to be successful in the long term, not just for you, but potentially in the future? What are you doing to kind of give back to your team?
So, I mean, ideally, I would love, I actually promote from within. So on the first team in my brokerage, I think that actually hired a VP of sales. Our top sales agent, Crystal, proved time and time again that, she can not only provide top sales performance measures, but she can also organize meetings. She can also, she's got the most listings on the team. So why not give her a listing position, feed her some of the team's listings, and then offset some of her buyers to the rest of the team. So number one, growth opportunities. And, and for one, like I opened up that whole answer is that if you're still working for me in 3 to 5 years, that's amazing. But the goal is that we've trained you enough so that you can run your own team by then. But again, obviously, we offer growth incentives within the team to keep them, because if they're doing that well, I would love to work with them for as long as I can. And number two, we try to provide training, obviously. I kind of resonate with what you said with the spoon feeding a little bit, because, you know, I hired everybody and with the intentions of 80% is your business, 20% is the team's business. But through the last 2 years, and this is not my team's fault, it's not my fault either, it's just the way it was, is we were getting so many leads that they kind of got used to it. And now when things are drying up, we've got to you should never let lead generation fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, when you're busy 12 hours a day and you've got really high qualified leads and buyers and sellers, and these houses and these deals are turning over super quick, and all you can do is move on to the next one. It was really difficult to get back into the swing of things. And I said on your podcast, what is the number one job of a realtor? It's lead generation. Everything else is just a product of lead generation. So we try to provide the training as well. And well, not try, we do. But number 3, which is super important because most people join my team for this, is that we actually do a shit ton of content, and we pay and we have discounts because we work with a videographer company that provides us a shit ton of services at a great deal, as long as we keep going back to them. So what I mean by that is that we have a podcast that we get our team on rotation. We're shooting the pilot for Chorus, every listing video shoot. So what I made happen is that our videographer, if they're coming for the photos and the videos, they also have to provide a vertical reel. And that vertical reel cannot just be something that's, hi, I'm Andrew, and this is this is that. It's got to be like, hey, my top 3 reasons of why you're going to love this house, my top 5 reasons why you're going to love this neighborhood, you know, a trending video edit, something to that nature. And everybody has to do it.
Yeah.
And we do that.
When you say everybody has to do it, what does that mean?
All our salespeople have to use the same videographer. They have to use the same, I don't want to use the word template, but format. So you have to do it real. It has to be some type of trending or engaging content. And we'll teach you. We have content days. We have, we bring in a videographer to film our meetings. And then we cut it all up. And we ask that all of our team members leverage that type of content for their own uses. So why is that important? I've saw time and time again where some teams will just have all these agents, but you go to their Instagram or whatever, it looks like they haven't sold a house, right? Yeah. So if you want to be on my team, you've really got to step it up. Are we perfect now? No, but you know what? I've got a team of people that, you know, weren't doing a lot of content. So they're still they're still, you know, and my team's 80% women, is 85% women as well. Actually, we only have me, Peter, Charlie. So we only have 3 out of 12. So that's leaving less. That's probably about 80-20, I guess.
You're like my team. You're like my team. My team's the same way.
And we love it. We love each other. We really value each other. But you know what? For some of the girls on the team, they weren't putting themselves out there on Instagram or Facebook.
More self-conscious.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? We after seeing me do it, after seeing the other girls on the team do it, they start to blossom and become, you know, these really strong social content marketers. So those are the 3 ways that we're trying to, you know, help our agents out, you know, foster a positive work environment, as well as keep the team motivated. Now, it's not perfect. It will never be perfect, but then that allows us to keep improving on everything that we're, you know, that we want to bring in terms of services to the team.
Well, it makes a lot of sense that, I mean, one, it's great for your brand when you have 20 people out there promoting with your guys's logos or your guys's branding and your company. And so that for hyper local content, you guys have 20 people that are out there doing really high quality content because you guys follow a template, right? And to me, I think that's brilliant because I teach agents the same thing. I'm like, guys, just create a template for every house. So every time you go into if you're going on tour, you just create a template and you do that video, and it's hyper local. So the algorithms love it. And 2, when you guys are all doing consistently the same thing of a high quality video, even if they're newer to the industry, it gives them that vibe of professionalism.
Yes.
But it also teaches them that, hey, and you know, we have a client that is now 2 years in the business, and he's picking up 50-60% of his business, personal business, from Instagram. You're teaching your people how to fish for life. It's not like Instagram isn't now business or social media isn't now business. I tell everybody it's future business. But if you can stay consistent at it while you're doing the now business, that will turn into a beast of a business for you. So it's pretty cool that you teach your agents how to be on social and build their own brand on the backs of your brand. I think that's
exactly. And it is important to note that for the people listening, that my team is called the Fine Estates team. So it's not the Andrew Perrie team. We did that for one reason, mainly because I love what it represents as a brand message, just even the words. Does it run into problems for me? All the time, because, you know, like how team leaders, I don't know how they do it in the States, but a lot of team leaders, they only put themselves on the deal no matter who it is. So, you know, if you've got 100 agents or 2 agents or 3 agents, 5, one person is the team leader is the only one on it. So now you're like, oh, this team leader sold 1,000 houses. Now, that could absolutely be true, because we were the one, the team was the one that brought all of this business together and created this deal. So yeah, we deserve to be on that deal, but we allow all of our other agents to be on the deal as well. Again, so that was kind of a ramble, but what I mean by that is that, you know, it was a little bit more difficult to do, to kind of, without creating a brand with your own name in it. Just, you know, for brand recognition, for Googling, for whatever. A lot of people aren't going to look at a billboard and say, oh yeah, the Fine Estates team. They're going to say, oh, Andrew Perrie, there's his face, there's his name. So we do have a couple of drawbacks with that. However, with the advantages is that it brings in, you know, all of the motivated realtors that we have on the team who want to push that brand. Nobody wants to just push Andrew Perrie. You know, I might not be that nice of a guy that they want to do that for me, but they appreciate the brand, they understand the message, and it just helps bring everything together throughout their brand messaging.
Well, it also gives you the ability at some point, if you think from a long-term strategy, it gives you the ability to step out.
Of course.
Because people aren't calling for Andrew, they're calling for the Fine Estates, right?
Exactly.
So they're not like, hey, we want, like, ring, ring. Is Andrew there? No, Andrew's actually busy right now. Well, we only want to talk to Andrew. Now it's because you created a process, and people want your process. People want your systems. They don't necessarily know that it's you that is, you know, the head of the ship. So it gives you the ability to go home at 4 o'clock and not have 1,000 calls for you.
And, you know, I think Crystal probably would have a real tough time being, hi, my name's Crystal Simons. I'm the owner of the Andrew Perrie team. What? How does that work? Yeah. So because I eventually do want Crystal full-time in my role, or another salesperson who's showing, you know, strong growth to take Crystal's role, and so on and so forth. Because as we grow into Muskoka more, you know, we only have one agent up there, you know, but as we grow in, you know, my time's going to be heavily split between multiple locations. And then if I replicate that even further and further and further, where I'm almost having my own brokerages spread across the world, which is eventually the goal, that I have people that are willing to do it. And again, not everybody wants to go and promote somebody else's physical name.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I guess let's close up here with content, because I think I watched your content evolve a lot over the last couple of years. And like even through talking with so many real estate agents across North America, like, you know, it seemed to be bringing more agent to agent referrals, like not just like locally, but like all across North America for you. I'm curious to know, like, what is your plan when it comes to content marketing? What do you see for agents is working right now? And what is something that they should be having their finger on the pulse of? Like, what are some things that you're doing that you didn't do before that are really working?
Well, you know, I think I've always been a guy to document. And what I've been doing now is taking those 10-minute videos that are documenting what I do and cutting them down into 15, 30 seconds. So that's number one. And you can easily do that through repurposing some of your older content. But if you're just starting from fresh, you really need to find a videographer that's going to offer some type of package for you and hold your ass to the fire. So, you know, if it says a 3, 6, 12-month contract, there's a reason for that, because there's no point. And a lot of videographers don't want to put their name on anything anymore unless you're going to do something with it, right? So take the 6-month contract or 3 or whatever, pay that $1,000 to $2,000 a month, or start off small. I don't know what videographer rates they're going for in your market, and, you know, make sure that they're going to give you 1-5 videos a week, and make sure that all those videos are something that are fairly high converting. And what I mean from high converting, I don't mean necessarily it's now business, but now followers, now engaged. Converting that audience member to wanting to, oh man, great video. Can't wait to watch more, or like, or share. And those are like, top 5 communities in my market, top 5 reasons why you should buy today, top 5 reasons why waiting to sell your home until the fall is a better idea. And, most people, I don't actually do a lot of that personally myself. My team does it because they're just starting. I have a platform. I've got speaking engagements. I've got podcasts. I leverage those to the absolute max. But if you're not going on the podcast circuit, which I do highly suggest, just start reaching out to people, then start in those high converting videos, 15, 20 seconds about your community, your market, or just simple buyer and seller tips.
Super hyper local stuff. Like the hyper local stuff, it crushes it. Like the engagement on, I have agents that have they start doing the hyper local and they go from 7 posts of their cat that 7 likes to they put some stuff of the open house or the tours, thousands of people, and they have 400 followers and they're getting thousands of views. This is working. Your cat is not. Let's do more of this. Unless it the data is
but the
there,
cat's the cat's so cute though.
Well, cute cats don't pay bills.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to jump on the back of that, it's, highly important that, if somebody comes to your profile, they don't need to scroll down at all. Make sure those first 3 photos on your profile grid say something about you. And it better not be, it better be something about real estate if you want to be successful. And again, everything I talk about is all about how to maximize on your opportunities. So, if somebody says, well, that's not me. I love my dogs. I love to fish. I love to hunt. Yeah. Okay, great. That's amazing. Keep that in your stories if you want to maximize on your business opportunities, right?
Yeah. Andrew, so good. So much value. And I just really do appreciate it. And I've just been excited to watch your business grow so rapidly in 2 years. Just from thinking about the time that you and I had that conversation in San Diego. I was in San Diego and it was you and I think you had 2 people on your team or one to 2 people on your team to now you have 2 offices, a bunch of agents planning on sounds like world domination. And I'm just super grateful for your friendship. I'm super grateful that we have had the opportunity to connect over the last couple of years. And I just appreciate you very much. And I thank everyone for tuning into another episode.
Wait. Andrew, where do people find you online?
Yeah,
thanks for asking because
you had your shameless plug earlier, but you didn't tell them where to find you, man.
Yeah, where to find you?
You plugged yourself, but you didn't tell them how to find your plug.
So my new Instagram username handle is the Andrew Perrie. It was a Perrie, but that doesn't work anymore. So don't even try it. I was getting too many fake accounts. Too many messages were going to the wrong people, and my tags weren't going to the right people either. So I changed it to the Andrew Perrie at the Andrew Perrie on Instagram.
And if somebody were listening to this podcast and they want to book you for another podcast or speaking engagement, where can they reach you?
Andrew at revelrealty.ca. But honestly, the best is at the Andrew Perrie. I check all my message requests. I check all the secret ones, everything. Yeah.
Instagram, baby. Let's make it happen. Thank you so much, Andrew. Okay. And thank you for tuning in another episode of the #1 real estate podcast.
Number one podcast in the world. We'll see y'all soon. See you guys.
All right. Peace.